So if you're like me, you probably enjoy just starting Palworld all over again, just because the first part of the game is so absolutely amazing. But I also learned so many things in the past couple of weeks playing the heck out of this game that I really wanted to make a step-by-step ultimate perfect playthrough. That's why in this video I'm gonna go over a full-on breakdown of the first 10 to 15 levels that I usually spend in Palworld and some of the best practices that I also do to achieve some crazy starting bases, amazing pal teams, and a whole bunch of resources that will set you up perfectly for the middle and then the end game. So the first thing I'm going to do right here is to try and be as efficient as possible. There are quite a few resources, so I'm just going to activate this fast travel point and immediately talk to this NPC. So if you talk to them, they will give you about 10 starting wood, and I will also grab every single other rock and branch in the area, as there are enough here to afford all of the starting tools. Plus we gain a bunch of levels here, so I'm gonna grab that and every single berry bush I can see for some of the farms later on. Now if you do so like in the way I am, you're going to have just enough to craft all of those. So I will just grab these really quickly, and then this rock. I will place down this very interesting workbench. Of course, we're gonna go ahead and try to build everything starting with the wooden club. Now you can go with some of the others too, but this is going to be helpful for the fight ahead. That is why I suggest it. So that's done, and then we're gonna go for the pickaxe. Typically these are the two things that you can do, but in our case we can also afford the final one to chop some wood. You can also do this a bit later, but that's how I like doing it, to just focus on the things ahead. Now from now on, I'm going to jump down this hill. There is going to be a chest here that we can grab, and hopefully there's going to be some good loot inside. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And yeah, we were lucky and got about 3 of these pal spheres. Now what I recommend doing is to immediately mine this paldium. You will need it anyway, plus it will give us a level if you break it at this point. So I'm going to go ahead, do it, and just like that we just gained a level. Now, from this point on, I will want to fight a bunch of Kativas. We need them for the extra carry weight, for the base mining and all. So I will make my way down this waterfall. Plus, there's an effigy here that we can gain, and like 3 or 4 more on the way to the base. Now, typically, you would have set up your starting base right here on the starting platform or one of these starting platforms. You can still go ahead and do so, but in about 15 levels, which pretty much flies by really quickly, you're going to have to move that to an ore destination. So basically, I'm going to skip this part and just go straight to an ore deposit base. Now, in the meantime, I will farm a bit of wool. I'm not going to capture any of these. I do want to keep my pal spheres for some important base pals. For now, I do need a bit of wool, as some of the starting items like the armor and the glider will require a bit of that, but not that much. Eventually we can of course get a lot more. Now in the middle of this platform you can also find some additional spheres, but of course it's going to depend on luck. It can be that, it can be paldium fragments like in my case. But along the way, as you can see, I'm pretty much grabbing as much as I can, berries, and especially wood and the stone. I don't want to waste any time mining for now. And here is where Kativas will spawn, so I'm going to try my best to hit it. And we're going to try to capture a couple of them. 2 should be enough because it gives us about 100 extra carry weight, which is going to help us quite a bit on our path over there. So quickly going over the upgrades, I'm also going to of course increase my weight. This will be the first stat that I will focus on at this point, trying to get to about 700 with the Kativas included. So getting this guy, which is actually pretty easy, also another level, so that's pretty nice. Now from this point on, down this hill, we're gonna have 2 or 3 more pals that are gonna be very useful. Plus, as you can see, quite a few of these pal spheres to help us out. So the next I'm looking for is a pangolin. We need somebody who waters our plantation. Plus, a foxpark wouldn't hurt. Good for damage early on. And I'm also going to grab this chest. By the way, there's going to be one more in just a bit, which also gave us a mega sphere. So that can be quite helpful. Now, these pangolins can be quite dangerous at this point, which is why I recommend trying to only get them one by one. This guy in particular seems to be slightly higher level than me, but I'm still gonna try do my best and take this one down. I'm not sure exactly why he moves so fast. He's probably going to be a pretty strong variant, but yeah, you do have to club him in the head until he's down. Okay, so that's going to be one. It seems that his friend also joined the fight, so I do have to be careful, and I also don't want to waste my Kativas. And there's the second one. I think we're pretty much ready to go. We also have a bunch of Gumos spawning around, so if you see them, grab them because they will just handle the starting planting stuff. However, if you don't find them, it's not an issue because in the area we're gonna be in, there are a bunch of Tansies and they can do that just as well, if not even better. I'm just gonna capture him because I don't want to risk it. Quick tip over here, you can sprint and then crouch to essentially slide down this slope, which is going to give you a ton of speed, so you can use this to gain a quick advantage as we make our way towards this fast travel point and unlock it right away. Now our destination is going to be up here after the Chillet boss fight. We're not gonna fight the boss, but behind it there's an amazing base spot location with a crazy good view and also with a ton of starting ore. And also, by the way, try to grab one of these chests right here on the side of this cliff. It usually spawns here and you can have some extra chances for some more Pal Spheres and small Pal Souls, but of course it's all RNG. Now we will make our way down this path. We're gonna follow this in the canyon just ahead and also talk to this NPC in just a bit to gain some extra of those Paldium fragments. So if I go ahead and talk with this cook guy or girl, yeah, they give us 5 extra Paldium plus another Lift Monk effigy on our way, so we already have enough for 1 levels. And from this point on, it's just following this canyon until we reach that tower with the first boss fight. But we're going to obviously only go for the waypoint nearby. And from that point on, it's going to all be very close to us. But there are some other creatures in here you can also farm. You can further find extra pangolets here and of course a lot more Pal Spheres, plus quite a few of these Fox Sparks. So obviously if you do need them, go ahead and grab one if you did not find one previously. I recommend with the Pangulet to fight them as this is going to counter them and give some nice extra bit of damage early on. So now that this is over, we're gonna make our way towards the first tower boss, of course without interacting with it, but it's going to be a slight pilgrimage that we have to make towards the starting base. However, it's going to be absolutely worth it. So once you reach here, you're gonna be able to activate the Rain Syndicate Tower, plus of course the waypoint nearby, and as you can see, we're gonna make our way this road further east from this location. You can't see the Chillet boss fight just yet, but it's going to be there, and the bridge is going to be right here across that gap slash valley. So this is going to be the bridge I'm talking about, that one right there. As you can see it in the distance, that's going to be the bridge we're going to be aiming for, and I'm just gonna progress over there until we reach it. Now on the way here, you're going to notice quite a few of these extra pals you can grab, and I recommend a couple of Tansies and of course any Pal Spheres you find along the way. But Tansies are amazing early on because they can help you a lot with lumbering. They also have some other attributes there that can help with the base management early on. So I recommend grabbing one if you can. If not, you can just go to the base and eventually come back. They spawn quite often. Now, yeah, this is going to be the Chillet arena. We're going to completely ignore it and not try to get in a fight because obviously it's too difficult now. Instead, I'm going to make my way around it right behind the arena. Do keep in mind, however, that there's going to be another chest here that you can take slightly to the right. So if you want to go ahead and take it, it's going to be right here at the end of this sort of enclosed platform. However, making our way back, this is going to be the bridge I talked about, and on the other side, we're gonna reach our final destination. So this is our destination, ladies and gents. It looks rough for now, but you can make it absolutely crazy. So there are about 7 or 8 of these ore sitting about, and you can just go ahead and grab them. They are also very close to one another, so you can just set up a box in the middle of them and have all of your pals bring all of that ore to your deposit box, which is going to be enough. So this is the location, by the way, if you want to see it on the map. So we will want to be very close to the center and make the starting pal deck also encompass the entire area without leaving any of the elements outside, especially the ores. They have to be inside of the base limits, otherwise they get ignored. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock some of the starting items from the technologies tab. We're going to go ahead and get the pal box. We're going to get the pal spheres, campfire, wooden chests. We all need these. Also the wooden structure set, of course. The 2 beds for our character and our pals. And I'm gonna get some of the old bow plus the arrows. Then eventually we're gonna jump over to the shield and the cloth outfit. We're gonna need all of these, as you can see me unlocking them, both for our base but also for our character, as we're gonna do a bit of fighting in just a bit. And don't forget about the berry farm and that parachute. You're going to need that in just a little bit. So to start things off, the pal box is going to be right around the middle of these 2 larger ores at the beginning of the platform, which should in theory let us have a whole base surrounding most of these resources, including these 2 trees right here in the back, plus that small hill over there, so we can build our house slash structure, and many others right here, which is plenty enough space. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and place this box right here in the middle, which is going to make it a lot easier for our pals to bring our resources in one specific centered spot. Quick little tip, by the way, in the starting stages, when you only have 1 pal box slot, you can put one of the kativas in it and dedicate it to the base, and then throw one from your of course team outside, and then you're gonna have 2 workers helping you at the same time. With you it's going to be 3. This will help a ton to speed up that building time process. Now from this point on, is going to be all about placing down some of these structures. So I want to create a bridge right here, which is why I'm going to try to align it very well with the platform on the other side. Plus, to avoid just generally pals not hitting ground and clipping through it, it can get very annoying, so this will fix a lot of that. But for that, we're gonna need some of these base structures, which is why I'm going to temporarily set them up until the other side, and then I'm gonna just try to build some of these other platforms around it, as this is going to be the spot dedicated to our pals, and of course their place to sleep, to eat, and a bunch of some of the ranches that we will craft early on. Now, since I also want that bridge and I don't want it to collapse the moment I destroy these, I'm going to set up a bunch of these reinforced walls at the base of the stairs, so that I can continue building the bridge above it. Plus, it's going to take advantage of all of this structure below it. However, eventually we do want to delete that, so we have to build these extra walls as a means to just protect the bridge not collapsing. So once that is done, we can go ahead, scrap these, and as you can see, the bridge just stays there perfectly. It has a good gap, so even bigger pals can cross through it, and it's overall very nice to look at. And from this point on, I'm going to try to build a starting barracks. You're not going to have to do anything but place up some of these ceilings. You don't even have to create an entire enclosure. You can still sleep in a bed, even if it's only covered by one of these up your head. As long as you have one of those, it's going to be plenty enough to sleep at night, so you don't have to worry about creating a whole house and wasting wood just yet. I will, of course, repeat the process for my companions and build a bunch of beds for them as well. Now, my goal right here at the beginning is to level up my base really quickly. So I'm going to try to complete these projects and increase the number of pals I can hold in my base. The starting objectives are actually rather easy, so you're gonna build most of this stuff anyway. Plus, it also retroactively applies to it if you build something that's required in the next steps. That's why I also went ahead and built some berry plantations over here, and I just got a ton of things going in the starting stages. Now, you might have noticed that we lack some of the starting stone and the wood in this area. That's not going to be a problem, because at level 7 we can unlock the stone pit and the logging site, both of which are actually a requirement for one of the starting levels for your base level. So you can basically like just shoot 2 birds with 1 stone if you both build those and also gain that extra level. So our starting team for now includes a Pangolin, a Kativa, and that Gumos, which is going to handle most of the stuff for now. And especially so the berry plantation, we do need the food right away, so I'm gonna place down the food box so that all of those berries get transported inside. Plus, eventually we can even craft a campfire nearby and cook some of those berries and save a ton of the sanity so that we can upkeep them and make them work for a lot longer. But for now, it's getting late, so I'm gonna go ahead, go to sleep, and as I've said, sleeping absolutely works despite the house not being finished. Now, my first objective once I get this workbench going is going to be to craft that normal parachute. It's going to help us a ton with traversal. So I'm going to use some of the starting wool to turn it into a couple of cloth, which is then going to be funneled into creating that starting parachute, which is going to absolutely change things for us. Now, from this point on, I'm going to go outside of the base a little bit, and there are two objectives I want to complete here. One of them is that there's this lift monk effigy to the right side of the bridge, which is going to give us the third one in total, and there are going to be two more in the area we're going to go in just a little bit, which is going to give us 2 levels to upgrade our catching rate. Now, on your way here, you will also find a lot of tansies, which is why I recommend trying to grab them as much as you can. They will help you a ton, as I've said, with logging, but they can also do a bit of transportation. They can also plant stuff and also harvest. So they are one of the best at this stage in the game until you get the better ones. Now, after doing a bit of tree farming slash cutting down, I did get a bunch of wood needed to craft the bow. You will want to get that right away. You could, of course, go with the others too, but essentially we want the whole gear early on. So that plus the arrows. I also got the cloth armor, which is actually pretty easy to get, just 2 of those cloth items, but I recommend going immediately for the common shield. Get some palladium fragments and all the other stuff in here, like very easy from the starting resources. But this is going to give you a whole HP bar basically. It will tank about 1 major hit, which is very helpful early on. Now, my plan from this point on is to essentially capture 2 important pals. One of them is going to be the elk creature, which is an amazing damage dealer early on, and one that will help us just deal with a lot of these pals we're gonna fight in just a bit. And second is going to be the Tombat. This is going to help us to just mine the ore resources in our base. Cativas unfortunately won't do because their mining level is only 1, so that means they can't even mine anything beyond just regular stone. For anything beyond that, like ore, coal and everything else, you will need higher and higher mining level pals in this case, which is why we're going to be using the starting Tombats. And Tombats are actually quite abundant in the area at night. They are only level 11, so really easy to capture. So now that we're ready, we can go ahead out in the wild, and I'm going to start. And actually, scratch that, there's one right below, so I'm going to use the height advantage to get a hold of it. Obviously, I'm going to have to get closer because it seems that the damage is a little bit too low. Now, fortunately enough, these creatures are not too smart, so as long as you stay on an elevated terrain or just stay behind cover, they should in theory not deal much damage, but obviously still be careful because they can absolutely wreck you. Now, they deal a ton of damage, but for some reason this bugged out, so like I said, if you just stay behind cover, you can typically just get the AI to go haywire so you can eventually capture it. So now that it's done, throwing a quick ball, and yes, it absolutely works. So now that we have the elk, we can go ahead and grab the Tombat. I'm gonna try to make my way around this entire valley and back to my base, obviously since I don't have another choice. But since it's nighttime already, Tombat should spawn really soon. However, I'm only like super low level for now, so I'm going to try to do a couple of things to level up really quickly. One is to go very close to the tower boss, and there's a camp nearby that we can use to fight a bunch of enemies. Now, these enemies are actually pretty easy to get. They're low level. You can just use the arrows for the headshots. Plus, in this case, our elk absolutely obliterates them. Alright, so this guy got absolutely destroyed. I just love that charge attack and how it just throws everything away. Also worth freeing all of those pals inside. Usually you'll find a cage. Unfortunately, this time around it's only a pangolin, but it is a free one that you don't have to waste a sphere on. They could definitely be much better, but even the pangolin can help a bit back at the base. And of course, we leveled up as a result, so this is actually a win-win. Now we are level 7, so we can go ahead and gain a bunch of other upgrades. Like I said, the stone pit as well as that logging site are now finally available. So we're gonna go ahead, craft them, and get some extra resources along the way. Now, there's one quick stop I want to make on the way, which is going to be that desolate church. This is the former base area I used before. On the way there, you will find quite a bit of stone and quite a bit of extra palladium resource, so you can definitely go ahead and grab some. I mean, there are so many in the area, but you can also come back later and farm for them. So there are 2 creatures in here that I want, but also 2 lift monk effigies to increase our capture chance. And one of them is going to be right here at the church. So inside we are gonna go past this waypoint, and inside we can find both another Lift Monk effigy as well as one of these statues to gain one of the starting levels. Plus it doesn't hurt, we gain some extra arrows from that chest. Now we do need one more of these effigies to gain another level, which coincidentally can be found right up the hill to our right side next to the church. So this is exactly where we want to go in, because there are two more pals we need for our team, a Vixie and the Rush Boar, both of which should spawn relatively easy in this area. Okay, so it seems that I'm interrupting some kind of party over here, but it does seem that only some rush boars have spawned. I do want to be careful and not kill them outright, because I really need one. Okay, so see, that's what I'm talking about. You have to be extra careful about these, so I'm gonna try to at the least get the second one. Vixies did not spawn just yet, but of course we can always make our way back. And I mean, this guy is just going to destroy everything in its path. And with that, this should be a successful capture. Now the only thing we need is of course that Lift Monk effigy. So I think I saw it right around here. Yeah, it's going to be right here at the end of the edge, and pretty much in a very open position. But this is going to let us go right next to the church. It's going to be here, by the way, if you want to check it. So now that we have the parachute and all of that, we can just jump down and make our way over there. And with that, we're ready for the second level of capture power. I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade this. However, keep in mind that at the time of filming this video, there's a pretty nasty bug that in fact reduces your capture power when you use these Lift Monk upgrades. So until it gets fixes, maybe avoid using it. However, if you're watching this video like in the future, 1, 2, 3 months, it should already be fixed. So you can go ahead and freely upgrade these. So now that we got the rush board, the only thing we need is its saddle, which you can unlock at level 7. And this is going to be a game changer for you for the next couple of levels. So definitely worth doing so, which is why you're going to want to grab a bit of Paldium in case you don't have enough. Also, around this time, I'm going to go ahead and build this stone pit. Plus, we're going to build that, of course, wood one as well. But we do need this to upgrade our base, so I'm going to place them down anyway. For now, this should be enough for the Kativas to work and gain some extra stone for the base. Now, since our base is a bit larger now and we gained a few levels by just crafting the stuff that we needed, you can now cook some of the berries. I recommend doing so early on because this can help a ton with your pal's sanity until you gain some other sources of doing so. So this can help quite a bit to keep everybody in check, in good condition, so that they can work around the clock and give you everything that you need. Also, another plan is to create the Fox Spark saddle. This will give us a very strong flamethrower early on, which is going to help us a ton with some of the boss fights ahead. Plus, we might be able to use a bit of breeding for that. Now, I went back to the cursed church, and finally, we do have some Vixies over here. There are a couple of them that are really trying to escape, but I'm not gonna let them. We do need them to gain infinite Pal Spheres, as we are going to funnel that into leveling up very fast. And luckily, 2 of them is going to be enough. In 2 days, you should get like dozens of Pal Spheres and dozens of extra arrows for absolutely free. But I will also use the rush board, obviously, to break down some of these Paldium fragments. As you can see, it's instant and it just gives us the whole thing right away. This also works, of course, as a very good way to cover distance. As you can obviously see, it can just travel for so long. That's why you want to also be careful and not jump straight into hell like I just did right here. But now that we're done with that, I'm now going to place down a wrench and get a bunch of Vixies already going. Yes, it absolutely works even if you place it on some of these wooden floors. It doesn't really matter. You can just throw the Vixies inside and they will dig through anything. I even let these for a few days and they absolutely work without any problem. I don't really like its positioning just yet, but eventually I might move the wrench a little bit further back. Also, I'm going to try to build a proper house for the pals so that they can sleep in. Eventually, we will take some bigger pals that might need a bit more room to fit. So I'm going to try to create this bigger sort of a barn area in which I'm going to just place a bunch of beds for them to sleep. So this is kind of like their spot. Mine is going to be on the opposite side of the bridge. So now that this is done, we also gained another level, so we can upgrade our base to level 6. And this is going to, as you can see, also now required to build a crusher, that stone pit, and the logging site. So all part of the process, but I can also place another Vixie in this case Probably gonna do so because I really need those spell spheres and just throw her in her own ranch. And the nighttime is also really close, which means it's finally time to move on to the Tombats. They should spawn pretty much close to our base, and luckily we have everything to do so. I think that we just have to be careful not to die. Now, I do recommend crafting a torch just in case, because it's going to be pitch black in this area. You can do so at the workbench, but I'm already seeing a Tombat right there beyond the Chillet. So luckily enough, well, actually I think 2 of them should spawn in this area, but I'm just gonna try to deal as much damage as possible really quickly, and obviously use the elk thingy on it. 2 should be enough for our starting farm. They have rank 2, but they can be quite dangerous as they do deal toxic damage or poison damage, plus some of these darkness attacks. However, they are no competition for the elk, which still somehow gets a ton of damage, but that's because it's a normal type enemy, so it's actually weak to the Tombats. That's why I suggest being careful about it. And the second one should not be too far off. Now, my elk did die from the poison damage, and because it's weak to this kind of damage, but I can probably just throw the Mega Sphere. And yeah, we do have a good chance to catch it. So that's 2 Tombats for a night, not bad. So once you go ahead and place them inside, as you can see, they will actually start mining those resources. So Kativas are no longer useful at this point. Just gonna throw them away. You can still, of course, use them to, you know, just help you with stuff. But for now, these are going to be my go-to miners. They can also work for regular stone, but also for these ore elements we have in the base. And as you can see, our Vixies are already productive. We do have quite a few of these spheres going around, so they are starting to become quite noticeable with the thing that they are doing. So for now, the base looks pretty nice. We do have things going. We have those 2 pits in the background being built. I did have to make some readjustments, but overall I'm very pleased that we got some very good specimens actually of Tombat. They do have some very good stats over here to work with. So now what I'm gonna do next is essentially try to build some extra wood floors around this. You can, of course, go ahead and use the camera like how I am right here to essentially clip a wooden structure to a wooden, in this case, platform, which is going to help you connect everything without having to worry about much. This is going to give me the possibility to build a bunch of stairs down the line right here and perfectly align everything with how I want to set up the whole base. This will be the transition to my own house in just a bit. Since our Vixies were very hard at work and got us a bunch of those spheres, my next recommendation while they are doing all of the resource extractions and whatnot is to go ahead and gain a bit of levels. Since we have quite a few of these spheres in the starting zone, we have a ton of bonus extra XP to catch all of these creatures. So I'm going to try to gain as many of them as possible. Plus, we also need some of the Tansies to further help us with the logging and general base managing. That's why the rush boar is amazing over here. It just completely stomps on anything. So that is actually not too bad. I was aiming for at least level 10 for this video, but it seems that we can greatly exceed that. We might even be able to do the first boss, but probably not in this video. I think that exceeds a bit the beginner's guide sort of walkthrough. So for now, I'm just going to focus on just getting the base going and getting everything over there to funnel into the next stage. So from this point on, just setting up a bunch of these a little bit better. Some of the starting workbenches may be put in a better position because previously they were kind of occupying a space and causing a lot of glitches with the AI when the pathing wasn't really working well. Now, we do need some of these hot springs because it seems our pals are rapidly becoming depressed. If we continue this way, things become a little bit more, well, difficult with the mining and whatnot. So we do need some pal fluids. Luckily, we have the starting pangolins in the starting area, plus all around our base on the shorelines. We can see quite a ton of them, plus the fuarks, which are also a very good source of those pal fluids. Essentially, any creature that is in the aqua category. And that's another base level, plus I'm going to set another Tansy in the remaining spot. I will have 3 Tansies for the wood chipping and then 2 Tombats for the stone for now, which are going to then transition to the ores in just a little bit. But I do have plenty of stone, though not enough wood. That's why I'm placing it this way. And from this point on, as I've said, I'm going to start doing the outskirts. These are going to be all the locations in which I'm going to place other farming elements, maybe breeding pens, maybe some other structures, all around this entire area until I reach back to the main hill. Quick tip, by the way, if you want to align all of these wooden foundations from different levels, what you can do is on the level below is to start with a set of stairs, and in its end to put one of these wooden platforms slash ceilings. And once you do that, you can just go a bit further back, select the wooden foundation, and then try to align it perfectly with the previous slate that you just applied to the end of those stairs. This is going to then let you pretty much gain this kind of look, which is perfect. You can then align it perfectly with the wooden stairs and just like have everything going on from this point on without having any gaps or any issues with alignment. If you want extra tips like these, let me know down below in the comments. I can totally make some base building tips for some really amazing structures. And from this point on, I just placed a bunch of these all around that platform slash hill because this is where I want to build my main base. So this is how it's going to look like. Absolutely incredible cabin. Yes, it is made out of wood, but eventually we will replace this with stone and create an amazing castle on this very hill. Plus, look at these views. They are absolutely amazing. You can see everything 360. You can see behind, in the front. Everything around here is revealed. And guess what? Nobody will be able to attack us. I've seen a number of raids coming and going, but they usually just spawn below and they just end without ever even reaching this upper platform. Now, they might have a chance sometimes to spawn at the end of, well, the Chillet boss fight. So, for example, at the end of that bridge, you might see them appearing and making their way to your base. But they are usually going to just cross the bridge in a straight line, which makes them very easy targets. So this is the final base. Well, not really final, but for now, this is how it looks like. I'm absolutely in love with this entire location, but let me know down below what you think about it. And now that everything is set up properly, there's one more thing that I want to do, which is to lure in the Chillet boss fight. Why, you might ask? Because why deal with it solo when I can have an entire base taking care of it and dealing way more damage? So I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull it over the bridge and see what happens. So yes, it is making its way over here. It can actually even patrol through the bridge all the way to your base, though I'm not sure if it's going to ever reach like in the center of your base. It can still happen and I've seen it, but as you can see, everybody just does quick work of it. They all deal damage. You don't have to fight with just one single pal at your side when you have an entire base helping you with it. And by the way, you can rinse and repeat this because the Chillet boss fight drops an early on legendary schematic, which can help you quite a ton if you want to farm for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the starting guide and the first few levels. Let me know down below if I missed anything. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up and a subscribe would definitely be appreciated. If you didn't enjoy it, then just leave a dislike and comment below that you didn't like it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.